Hey, how's it going, everybody? This took way too long.
Too long have you watched my sister?
What?
I put this off for far too long.
Okay, exactly. I put this off for far too long. Avatar the Last Airbender season 1. We're gonna talk a bit about that. We're gonna talk a bit about the future of the show. All right, let's take a look at what's in store for the future, and then we'll move our way backwards because it's not gonna get any better, guys. It's not getting better. Avatar is not gonna change. They planned it out. Season 1, season 2, season 3, just like the cartoon. So they have everything in place. They've got everything in place. They decided to not use Sozin's comet as a time factor, so they know what they're doing. Things aren't going to change, unfortunately. In this post, they released this poster. Aang's journey continues, season 1, 2, and 3. How? Why? Why is I mean, it makes sense for the show because Aang didn't do any water bending, but book 1 is supposed to be water. He's a master of airbending. Why is that air? That's not supposed to be air. That's supposed to be water. But at least that's what it was supposed to be in the cartoon. In the show, in the Netflix live action, Aang didn't do any water bending. He barely did any He didn't learn anything. When Albert Kim, the showrunner of Netflix's Avatar the Last Airbender, said that this show is a remix and not a cover, he meant that. He 100% meant that. Every single red flag that I mentioned ended up being true, were completely validated, and more. Aang wasn't Aang. The characters weren't the characters. They changed lore. They changed bending. They completely rewrote the... Here's a real good example. Aang and the rest of Team Avatar come to Omashu, right? And you remember the cartoon, Aang dresses up like an old man or whatever, and they get in. Jet sneaks him in. And this is where the whole remix comes in. They're rushing. Why are you rushing? Here's the thing I don't understand. Why are you adding new scenes? Why are you telling us things that weren't told in the original cartoon, but then rushing? You should only add elements if you have time to spare. You don't have any time to spare. You're rushing. You're trying to mix and match and meld all these different storylines you had. They're going to Omashu. Jet sneaks them in. And then you have the crippled, like the whole storyline of Aang going to the air temple and then seeing, they're flying through the air with the engineer and all that stuff. They added that storyline in there. And then Jet tries, instead of trying to attack the town, he tries to plan an attack on the palace. And Sokka has a gift of engineering. And I mean, yeah, he helped out, but they blew it out of proportion. Aang gets taken to the palace by Boomy, and there's no trial. It's not like Katara and Sokka were taken captive with the crystal and all that stuff, and Aang is doing these trials to set them free. It doesn't make it, the whole Boomy interaction was, he reveals that he's Boomy right off bat, but then still does the trials. He's like, hey, I'm your friend and I'm gonna put you through this hardship. It really is a remix. It's not the same show. The showrunner said it's a new song. It's not the same song. It's a remix, and that's 100% what it was. You remixed a good song and you made it worse. The remix was horrible. The remix was bad. I did not like it. Visually, the show was. That's not even the worst part, actually. Let me finish that whole arc there. Aang is trapped, right? Aang is trapped in the palace, and you know how Katara and Sokka get to him with the badger, those badger moles, whatever those things are, and the whole love tunnel. They took that storyline and they shoved in. They're literally taking storylines and shoving it into places that it doesn't belong. The only thing good about this show, the casting, I thought was decent. The casting was decent. There are certain areas where I thought the casting could be better. I feel like Sokka could have been... The acting wasn't good, though. That's the thing. I feel like Sokka, if he was directed well, and was written well, I think he could have done a good job. He doesn't have the same skin color as Sokka, so that's a bit immersion breaking for me, because he doesn't look like Sokka 100%, but he has a similar face, he has a similar voice, which was good. Katara, I don't really care about too much. Aang, I thought was good casting. Zuko, I thought was decent. Iroh, they need to give him the pointy beard, because without that angular feature, it looks like Santa Claus. Azula, I did not like that casting. May, come on, guys. Ty Lee was decent. Fire Lord Ozai, I did like. And don't even get me started on Suki. What they did to her character, man. She's so stiff. She's so bland. She's like a board. She's just so boring. She's just so one-dimensional. It's like, and they ruined that whole story arc. And for what? Why? You want the powerful female to be the one to instigate the relationship? Like, what's the reason there? That's just a prime example of what they did to these characters. They changed the characters for the worse. Why? It's sad to see, honestly. But going back to the acting, it was just not good. They were written poorly. They were acted poorly. Directed poorly. And like I said, the only thing good about this show was the costumes. The costumes and the set pieces, the sets, the trinkets and all that stuff, that looked good. I like that. I really did. That's the part I really liked. The visual aspect of the show looked good. The bending didn't look good too. The bending didn't look good in my opinion, though. That's a visual aspect, and that's a huge visual aspect. I thought the CG on the bending could be better. I've seen other people say that they liked it. But did you guys see that fight scene in the northern water tribe with Katara and what's that dude's name? Paco, or whatever his name was? Are you guys seeing how bad that fight was? That choreography was horrible. The bending, it just moves so slow. It's like they had such a short, slim budget. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the fight between Fire Lord Ozai and Aang with that kind of choreography, with that kind of bending, with that kind of budget, with that and that's the other thing with Katara. Her character is completely different. This is not Avatar the Last Airbender. When the showrunner said that it did not have the spirit and the integrity of the original series, it doesn't. It really doesn't. So literally every single one of the red flags, every single one of the worries that I had, that I made the videos on, were 100% true. It was 100% fact. I mean, Katara and Sokka entering the spirit world, Bumi holding a grudge against Aang for the past 100 years, that panda spirit creature not being the issue for the tribe. There's so many things that were different about this show that it's a failed adaptation. It's not a good adaptation. The showrunner literally said it. It's a remix. It's not a cover, and that's exactly what it is. The thing is, it wasn't even a good remix. It was bad. I think the best moment of the show for me was when Iroh gave the members of the crew, the ship crew, Zuko's backstory. And then Zuko comes on the ship and they line up and they make their way for him to walk through. I think that was the best moment, the best character moment for the show, because everybody else didn't even get their characters right in the first place. But that moment I thought was good. And I know I said I was excited to see the fight between Ozai and Zuko, but the thing is, it shouldn't have been a fight. It should not have been a fight. Like, Zuko is actually fighting back. The whole point was for him to, I don't want to touch you. You're my father, you know? I'm just going to bow down and not do anything. I like that we got to see the lead up to it, but the fight, it shouldn't have been a fight. And that's the other thing. All of the expanded upon scenes, the added scenes, they even had filler episodes. When Katara and Sokka were in the spirit world, they had flashbacks. Why are we having all these additional scenes and filler when you're rushing the show like crazy? You have like 50 different arcs of the show mashed together in one episode. And then you skip a whole bunch of different side stuff. Why? Why are you doing that when you're adding filler? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I think season 1 of Avatar the Last Airbender on Netflix was a fail. They failed, in my opinion. They set out to do a remix. That's what the showrunner said. It's a remix, but it wasn't a good remix. It wasn't good. The season 1 was not good. And the most sad or hilarious part, I don't know which way you want to take it, they were going for a mature audience, right? They wanted to go after the Game of Thrones audience. That's what they said. Yet this show feels more shallow than the original cartoon. It feels there's less depth, there's less emotion, there's less intensity, there's less mature themes than the original cartoon. Like I said, there were some good things sprinkled in there, but come on, guys. Come on. This was a disappointment. This was a disappointment. But let me know down below, what did you guys think about Netflix's live action Avatar the Last Airbender season 1? What did you guys think? Let me know your thoughts. And are you looking forward to season 2 and 3? Do you think they can change things around, or are we headed in the same direction? I think we're headed in the same direction. But let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.